going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC reality check. But I'm not the one handing out reality checks this time around. I am handing that crown back to WWE, where it belongs. I did not plan on recording anything. I wasn't going to be recording anything until Fastlane this coming weekend, which I still will be doing, by the way. But little birdie told us all to watch out if you're an NXT fan, because next week AEW is pulling out a big gun. They're pulling out Title Tuesday, and you can't call it Title Tuesday unless it's on Tuesday. You know, when they first came around, they decided to fuck with NXT and put their show on Wednesday. That's what happened. I mean, you can argue with the wall, that's fine. But we moved, we were gracious, we being the good guys on the good company that doesn't fuck people over and all that kind of thing. We moved over to Tuesday, it's fine. NXT went through some growing pains, admittedly, but now they're going to do Title Tuesday. And the conversation over the course of the weekend, over the course of No Mercy, over the course of Wrestle Dream, which was a mess other than the debut of Adam Copeland, which is, you know, we should all be quivering in our boots. But the talk of everything was not about this week, not about what Edge is going to say on Dynamite, but what's NXT going to do next week when it's Title Tuesday. Oh, they're going to get destroyed. You know, they're the third brand. Nobody's watching NXT anymore. What are they possibly going to do? How could they possibly compete with something like Title Tuesday? You know, because Tony Khan needs to come up with a fun name for everything. And to the point where Tony Khan putting a funny name on his episodes of AEW Dynamite is all but meaningless. Let's be real for a second. What are they going to do? What are Shawn Michaels and Triple H going to do? What are DX going to do now that they're running the company? What are we going to do on NXT? Well, let's take a look at some things. Becky Lynch retained her NXT Women's Championship at No Mercy. She's going to be defending it next Monday against Tegan Nox, so that title's getting more representation on Raw, giving us all an excuse to talk about NXT on Raw, having us tell the world that somebody as awesome as Becky Lynch is a champion and will be on NXT. Tune into the show, it's a good time. She came to NXT tonight and said, I want more challengers. I've got Tegan Nox next Monday, but after that there's Halloween Havoc. I want more challengers. So out comes three random people, but Lyra Valkyria, who has the utmost respect for Becky Lynch and wants to face her mentor, more or less. You've got Indy Hartwell, another main roster talent, who followed Becky back to NXT and said, you know, if you can bounce from Monday to Tuesday, I can do it too. And Roxanne Perez, who is probably hands down the best overall wrestler in NXT. And they had a bit of a triple threat match. And Lyra Valkyria won the triple threat match, which is fine, because that means Halloween Havoc, we're going to get Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch, would be awesome. Lyra Valkyria had an awesome match with Rhea Ripley not too long ago, and that got her the praise and spectacle that she deserves. Also, Roxanne Perez was taken out of the triple threat match by Kiana James. So she wants her hands on Kiana James. Kiana James says, I'm tired of Roxanne Perez being in the headline instead of me. She's going to be below me. I'm going to remind her. And if she wants to get her hands on me, she has to beat my hand-picked opponent next Tuesday. She gets off the phone with somebody and she says, oh yeah, by the way, my hand-picked opponent for her next Tuesday is Asuka. Potentially, by next Tuesday, the new WWE Women's Champion on SmackDown. Now, we don't know. She's in a triple threat match. We can talk about that at a later date. But, so, next Tuesday, we're going to be building Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria. We are going to see Asuka versus Roxanne Perez for fucking reasons. Awesome. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams and Ilya Dragunov had a sort of a standoff with each other. Carmelo Hayes no longer has his NXT championship. That is now on Ilya Dragunov. Trick Williams was the NXT North American champion. All very good. He beat Dominic at No Mercy. Ilya beat Carmelo at No Mercy. There's a little bit of tension between the two of them. Trick Williams doesn't want his help. He's leaving the building. But as he's leaving the building, they interview him in the parking lot, the NXT parking lot, the most dangerous place in the world, and the interviewer says, who are you on the phone with, what are you going to do? He says, well, I've asked for a rematch of my match at Stand and Deliver at last year's WrestleMania weekend with Braun Breaker, and I needed some advice. I needed some advice from somebody who's been a multiple-time champion, and I talked to John Cena. He's been a 16-time champion, which means he's lost that title 16 times, and he told me I got to get myself back up and going, and he wants to make sure I stay motivated. So John Cena next Tuesday will be in my corner for this match that I'm going to have with Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker tried to talk some shit to him in the back. He's like, I know what it's like. As soon as you lose, they're on to the next guy. Maybe you need to be an asshole, more or less. So they're going to have that match. John Cena making his debut on NXT next Tuesday, because yes, in this match against Braun Breaker, which was a hell of a match, so that's, even without John Cena, that's a hell of a match. From there, we go after the commercial break to commentary, who throw up two graphics. One confirming the Carmelo Braun Breaker match with John Cena in Carmelo's corner. The other being that Cody Rhodes, one of the guys that built AEW, and even he knew that WWE was a better option, is coming to NXT for the first time ever. The brand that his father helped get up off the ground. And he's got a huge announcement. Now, I made the joke, it would be hysterical if Cody Rhodes, in brackets, finishing the story, was going to WrestleMania weekend to go to Stand and Deliver and face Ilya Dragunov for the NXT Championship. But Cody Rhodes also making his debut on next week's show on Tuesday. Then we got Trick Williams and Dominic's rematch for Trick Williams' new North American Championship. Spoiler alert, Dominic won his championship back. What does that do? That's a linchpin for storytelling purposes, because not only was Rhea down there with him, not only was Priest down there with him, not only was Finn Balor down there with him, who wasn't even on Raw, but the hanger-on, the almost member of the Judgment Day, JD McDonough, was there as well, and Dom got his title back, which means the Judgment Day gets to hang around. And before we went off the air, we go back to the parking lot once again, and there's no interviewer, there's just one Paul Heyman, who makes mention of the fact that John Cena is going to be in Carmelo Hayes' corner next week. John Cena, the same John Cena who's the second best of all time, the second greatest of all time, next to the Tribal Chief. So the Tribal Chief has ordered Paul Heyman to provide his wise man counsel to Braun Breaker in person next week as he stands in his corner as he faces Carmelo Hayes with John Cena in his corner. So, the answer to the question, I guess you could say, the answer to the question, AEW is doing Title Tuesday, that's a big fucking deal. They gave it a different title and everything, like Tony does every other week. How's WWE? How's piddly little NXT that nobody ever watches, nobody ever listens to, that nobody really gives a shit about, except check Twitter tonight. They care tonight, I'll tell you that for free. How are they going to respond to this? Well, carelessly, almost effortlessly, the way they're going to respond to this is Shawn Michaels and Triple H are going to reach into their pocket and pull out Becky Lynch, Asuka taking on Roxanne Perez, John Cena making his NXT debut to be in Carmelo's corner. They're going to pull out Cody Rhodes, the son of one of the guys that helped get NXT up off the ground. We're going to leave the Judgment Day, all 5 of them, on NXT for a little bit longer because they do numbers. And Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman making, I believe, his NXT debut, which means any number of things could happen. You could have Jimmy Uso, you could have Solo Sikoa, you could have Jey Uso, because, there's crossover stuff happening there. And if they really, really, really wanted to put a bullet in the skull, NXT going off the air with Roman Reigns would absolutely be iconic. So how are they going to do that? How are they going to respond to the threat, and I say that in tight air quotes, of AEW's Title Tuesday? With Becky, Asuka, Cena, Cody, the entire Judgment Day, and potentially the entire Bloodline. Because they can. And you know what I say to that? Do you know what I say to that? Good. Fuck 'em. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all of these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am turning out.